Okay, and now looking in the Teams tab, we will see a list of the teams that you are assigned to. So again, I'll mention it that I have, just as an admin, I have access to all of the teams that we have set up. But when you come in, you won't see all of these teams. You will just see the teams that you are assigned to. The teams are, these main headings that have, colored squares next to them. I think there is the capability of putting a picture in for these, so we may do that at some point. So if you see that change, just know that. But then the way that the teams are structured, so members can be assigned to these teams, and then within that team, there are channels, and channels are what hold the actual feeds under that team. For right now, each of our teams is just going to have this general channel. That's what we've got set up. As we build it out, and maybe if we've got specific projects that we're working on that have to do with the website that we feel we need to break out separate from our general communication, we may set up a separate channel. So just know that you could in a team see multiple channels. It's just a way of organizing that communication. But at least for right now, we don't see the need for doing that. We could do that at a future date, though. And so within your channel, so your general channel, you'll see your feed. And it's much the same way. I know I've mentioned Facebook a lot already, or even Twitter, same kind of thing, that you see a scrolling feed. So when new posts are posted or new conversations are posted, they will come to the bottom, and older information will be up above it. So it kind of feeds up your screen. Well, I think real quick I'll go back to a couple of navigational things before I get ahead of myself here. So you do have your filter, much like we saw in the activity and chat. So you can filter by a team or a channel. So you can kind of search there specifically within teams, your team's feed, and filter by something specific you may be looking for. And another way of doing that too is to search, but we'll look at the search functions here in just a little bit. And then coming across the top of a specific channel, so you'll see the general channel. And I will say one thing with Teams is this default channel for each team is always named general. So that can get a little bit confusing, as if you've got 4 or 5 different teams that you're a part of. It can get a little bit confusing, just making sure that you're in the right general channel under the right team. So just kind of take note of either the picture that we load, or if it is just a box with the initials in it. Just make sure that you're showing that right team before you make a post into whatever general channel it may be. And so you got some tabs across the top here. It defaults to the posts tab, and that's what you're going to see. And that is that general feed for any posts that have been posted in that channel. Next, you'll have a files tab, and this is much the same way that we've seen back in the chat where we had a files tab. You can go to this files tab, so instead of having to scroll up through months and months worth of chats to go find a file that got posted, you can come here to the files tab and easily find those files. You can sort by the name or when it was modified or who it was modified by. You can sort those and find things pretty easily. You can even upload files directly here, or download them from here. You can also upload those files, like we were saying before. I'll show you the new conversation tools. We'll talk about that in just a second, but you can load a file that way as well. This third tab, I'll show you. This one's been renamed, and I think we'll go back and name them all to the notes tab, but I'll show you real quick. It defaults, if you see this wiki, much like a Wikipedia, I think is the idea behind this tab. But it's basically a way to put information that's going to stay in the same place that'll be available to everyone on that team. But if you see this wiki, it's going to be the same thing as that notes tab, but we'll get those renamed here pretty soon. But if you click in that notes tab, this works much like, so you can have pages and then sections under that page. And so we probably will utilize this as just notes that need to be around, that is general information for whatever team that may be. You know, like we've got the website for, say, or Haiti projects. If there's information that needs to be readily available to everyone, we would put that here in this notes tab. And you know, sections can be added as needed, and so this would just as information is added, it would just flow down the page. And then this fourth tab that we have here is something that we're experimenting with. We think this is going to work, but we still got some testing to do, so I'll just throw that out there. But this to-do tab, Linda specifically, her and Lisa both were wanting a way to have an actual like to-do list, because that's a lot of the way that a lot of us like to work, is to, you know, we meet, we know we've got tasks that we need to get done, we'll go ahead and make a list and work through that task. The to-do app, this is a Microsoft app, is a way that we can do that, and we think we'll be able to. I think we'll set up a separate video that explains how this works, because there is a little bit of a we're kind of having to work around the system a little bit, because this isn't an actual app that can be loaded in the system. We're having to actually do this through a web page link. So we'll set up some instructions on how to link to a to-do list when needed. We'll get that out, and so whenever we bring you into a list, we'll make sure we get those instructions out to you as well. But just if you happen to see that, just know that that's what that is. That's a to-do list. You may, if you click on it, you may get just a login screen. So just know that, but no big deal. And if you got any questions, as always, send us a chat and we can help you out. So we'll go back to the post tab here and look at the way that the feed works. One big thing about the feed is when someone starts a conversation about a specific item, make sure that you reply directly to within that conversation. Don't come in down and start a new conversation if you're actually replying to an existing conversation. And the reason I say that is it can get, that information won't stay together unless you reply directly to that conversation that's already been posted. Like you can see here that we had some testing that's going on with that to-do tab, and there were some replies here. So these replies will stay with that original post whenever you reply there. But if you come down and do a new conversation, then it's going to be floating. And if somebody comes back and updates or adds some information to this original post, then things tend to get separated, and it's hard to keep up with context of posts and things like that. So just make sure, if you are discussing things back and forth about a conversation that's already been started, make sure that you reply to that conversation. And then if it's a brand new conversation that you're posting about, you come down to the bottom down here and hit that start new conversation button, and you'll see the same tool set that we saw in the chat tab. It's the exact same tool set, with the only difference is that whenever you go into the formatting options here, you have a couple of different options across the top. So it defaults to this new conversation, but you can tell it, hey, I want to do an announcement, and this is just a way it adds this colored headline up top, and it's just a way of kind of, if it is something you want to make sure everybody sees, it's a way of kind of bringing things out from the rest of the information that's in the feed. And you can type that headline. You do have some options over here, just kind of color scheme wise. You can change those. You can even load a background image that would show in the background where the color bar is. That image would actually show, and you can type your headline over that. So that's kind of a cool thing to play around with. But this will be used, for something that you're wanting to make sure stands out and everyone sees whenever they come in. But otherwise, you just use that new conversation. You can add a subject and put your information down there. Or you don't have to use this. You can come and just start typing a conversation, and what that will do, it'll post your text without having that subject header line on it. You've got the option to set your posts so that everyone can reply, or so that only you and moderators can reply. I mean, I don't really see a situation where we would need to do this, but that option is there. I think in 99.9% of cases, we would want everybody to be able to reply. And you do have the option to post in multiple channels. So if there was a reason that you need to get information out into multiple channels, you do have the option of doing that from a single post, and it would basically just copy that post to the multiple channels that you're wanting to send it to. You just have to keep in mind that those channels, you'll have to go in and check them, but just remember that for right now, we've only got a general channel that has been set up under each team. But past those options, you've got the same set of tools that we showed earlier in the chat tab. So, bold, underline, italicize. You can highlight things, text sizes, paragraph options, bulleted lists. You can quote something, put in a hyperlink. You can even put a rule. So if you had a lot of text that's going in, you need to kind of separate that. You can insert a rule, or even put things in a table if you needed to. And then this exclamation, so you can mark your post as important. It'll input that important above the subject line if you do that. And then you can undo or repeat any typing that's in there as well. So I think as far as the actual feed, the Teams tab, I think that just about covers what we would need there. I guess I will hit this before we leave the Teams tab. Here you can meet with everyone that's on that team. I will say, be careful with this though, because when you do this, it's going to send a notification out to everyone that's assigned to that team. So if you've got 20 people that are part of that team, it will be trying to call or meet with all 20 of those people. So just be careful if you choose to use this meet button from a team channel, because that's just be aware of who it is that you're sending out a notification to meet with. This I button, this right next to the meet button, shows channel information. So it's going to show you the people that are assigned to that channel, what team it's a part of. You can see those members, and down here you've got a kind of an updates feed of what's happened recently in the feed itself. And then you got other options, and so this ellipsis is basically the same thing that you get that when you hover over those options that you can get those same ones here. So you can pin, so you can pin this channel, and what that does is it's gonna pin it up to the very top of your list. You can get a link to that channel. So I could see a situation where you may be talking to someone about what may be going on. If they're not part of that channel yet, you could send a link specifically to that, or maybe they're already part of the channel, but you just want to get a quick link to send in an email to somebody if you needed to. I don't really see a ton of need for that, but it is an option. And as shown before, your channel notifications, you can set those here as well.